Friends, I told you, yesterday was only the beginning. Only the first domino had fallen. I'm kind of a little hot here. Let me see if I can fix that. There you go. First domino has fallen, and now AMC has responded to HBO's move, or I should get Warner Brothers' move, and Disney Plus is, just jump right into the fray. So let's get into all that fun stuff. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
So yeah, fun stuff. Honestly, I had a lot of people, ask me, well, not a lot of people. I had some people being like, dude, why are you talking so much about this particular topic? And it's because it's fun. I find it very interesting. And honestly, it's you're watching the death of an industry in slow motion. You can see it coming. It's going to die. I have very little faith that movie theaters make it out of this, in one piece. But let me just, we'll get into that. So first off, before we get into it, let me just give you a quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Also, I'm streaming on YouTube and on Twitch at Super Dario World. If you want to check out this video later on YouTube, it'll be up there at Super Dario World. Also, as a bonus little note here, I will be, I'm trying to fix the levels on the mic here. It's a different mic, so I'm working on stuff. Anyway, separate little note here. I will be trying my portable studio now. Again, I'll do my first official test, which means it will mark probably the return of my Spanish podcast. If you see a Super Dario World en Español tomorrow here on this channel, it means that it worked. If you don't see it, it means that I didn't. So there you go. If you care, keep an eye out for that. I'll put it on this channel. I used to have a separate channel for Super Dario World en Español, but I'll just do it for this one just in case, so it's easier for you to find it. Afterwards, I'll go back to the regular one. But that's it. That's in case you cared. So let's talk about the interesting news that happened. So first off, before we get into well, let's do a quick little recap here. So, yesterday, this is sounding a little weird, isn't it? It's a little popping a little bit. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Anyway, so, yesterday I talked about how Warner Brothers announced that every single movie they plan to release in theaters in 2021 is now going to be released simultaneously on HBO Max. So, HBO Max, for those of you who don't know, is their streaming service. And so every single movie is going to be coming out in theaters, and it's going to be coming out in HBO Max at the same time. And if you're already subscribed to HBO Max, you do not have to pay for these movies. I'll say it again. You do not have to pay extra to watch any of these movies. So that I said that was a major. Now, they were claiming that it's actually good for the movie business, but honestly, this is a major kick in the nuts for movie theaters. And so I'll get into AMC's response in a minute. Also, another important thing to note, this particular topic, I also said that this is the first domino to fall, because this is the first streaming service to do it. This is the first major movie theater to do it. Well, the first major movie studio to do it. I assumed that others were going to follow. I honestly expected it to take a little bit longer, but it's been announced that Disney will be releasing their newest Pixar film, Soul, on their streaming service Disney Plus on December 25th, which is the same day that it was going to be coming out in movie theaters. And unlike Mulan, the live action Mulan that cost them up to, if you had to be subscribed to Disney Plus to watch it and you had to pay $30 to watch it, well, this one will be included with no extra charge. So you will get the newest Pixar film basically for free if you're already subscribed to the service, which is honestly a pretty good deal if you're already subscribed to it, but it's a major kick in the pants to movie theater. So, first domino fell. Now it looks like Disney's dipping their toe into it. We'll see how they respond. We'll see if they decide to actually fully jump into it, or if they're just testing the waters, to compete with Wonder Woman or whatever, which honestly makes no sense. It's like you're gonna have all the movie theaters to yourself. Why are you jumping into this particular fight? But I think, like I said, to me, all of this looks like movie theaters. I'm sorry, movie studios. They're trying to kill movie theaters. They're trying to kill them, like kill them dead, or if not kill them, they want to bankrupt them, and then they will be able to buy them out for cheap. That's my let's just say that's my little conspiracy theory here. And like I said, this is just cutthroat business, and it sucks, because movie theaters, they were very successful until the lockdowns. It's not their fault that their industry's failing. It was on the decline for sure, but it's really not their fault that it's dying because of the lockdowns and the coronavirus. So let's go into now AMC's response to all this. By the way, AMC has, as of this recording of this podcast, has only responded to what HBO did. They have not responded to Disney. And like I said, this is a developing story, man. I'm pretty sure we're going to hear more about this because there's a ton of movie studios, and I'm pretty sure we're going to hear more about this pretty soon. Like, this was a very, very big, very aggressive move by a major movie studio. And now Disney is kind of like, all right, I'll throw a punch. I'm not fully into the battle. I'm not thoroughly shanking them, but I'm going to dip my toe in there. So we'll see how that goes. So this is coming from AMC Theaters CEO Adam Aron, and here's his response. It's kind of a long one, so bear with me. Here you go. Start quote. These coronavirus impacted times are uncharted waters for all of us, which is why AMC signed on to an HBO Max exemption to customary practices for one film only, Wonder Woman 1984, being released by Warner Brothers at Christmas when the pandemic appears that it will be at its height. However, Warner now hopes to do this for all their 2021 theatrical movies, despite the likelihood that with vaccines right around the corner, the theater business is expected to recover. Clearly, Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of the profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize its HBO Max startup. So, as for AMC, we will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense. We will aggressively pursue economic terms that preserve our business. We have already commenced an immediate and urgent dialogue with the leadership of Warner on this subject. As this issue gets sorted out, we are nonetheless encouraged that vaccines protecting society at large against the coronavirus are very much at hand. So, it is our expectation that moviegoers soon will be able once again to delight in coming to our theaters without any worry, viewing the world's best movies safely in our big seats with our big sound and our big screens. So, a lot of interesting stuff there, and some stuff that I really hadn't even considered. So, let's go into the stuff that I really hadn't considered before. When you make a movie, you have to pay people, right? And you make contracts. And sometimes those contracts say you will get a portion of the box office, earnings. So, let's say I'm the director of a movie. Let's say I'm director of Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman last time made like $1 billion, right? It made a lot of money. It was very successful. It was a very successful film. And so, I'm the director of Wonder Woman. I get hired to do Wonder Woman 2, and they give me the option. Hey, do you want us to pay you a flat fee? Or do you want to get a percentage of the box office? Sometimes people make a lot more money with percentages. Ask Harrison Ford with the newest Star Wars world. Well, not the newest Star Wars, with The Force Awakens. Ask, I believe, Tom Hanks. Was it Tom Hanks with Toy Story? No. Somebody else did a percentage of a movie that was really, that really changed his career. No, I think it was Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito with something. Which was the movie that he did a percentage on? This is going to bug me. Was it Twins? I don't know. The point is, actors do this sometimes, and that's how they make more money. So let's say an actor or director has that in their contract, and now Warner Brothers is announcing, well, we're releasing all these movies on HBO Max, so suck it, because you're still gonna get your percentage of the box office. You're still getting your percentage of the box office, but it's not our fault that a percentage of the box office will be less than what it usually is, while we're raking in all the money from HBO Max. Now, this part is interesting because they are subsidizing their startup, HBO Max. However, and this is all going to come down to contracts. I'm assuming that Warner Media has some pretty good lawyers. I'm going to assume that they have pretty good lawyers, and I'm going to assume that they planned this out, unless they're doing what is known as a big ask. And so it's like, all right, we're announcing we're going to do this. AMC immediately freaks out. And so they're like, no, no, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. We'll give you whatever you want. And now Warner Brothers will get certain advantages when movie theaters come back or whatever. I don't see it going that way, because right now they really have all the power. Unless they did something that's completely and totally illegal and they could just completely broke their contracts, I think they can get away with it. So let's go back to the very beginning of this particular article. AMC saying that they signed on to the HBO Max exception to customary practices for one film only, Wonder Woman 1984, being released by Warner Brothers at Christmas when the pandemic appears to be at its height. So, interesting stuff here. They said they signed on. Does this mean that was on paper? Is this a document that they make a deal? Or what? Because like I said on the previous podcast, the movie studios and movie theaters have particular contracts. It's like, all right, we signed up for a certain amount of movies, and it doesn't matter what movies are. Let's say we really want Wonder Woman, so you have to. Well, let's say I'm Warner Brothers and I have Wonder Woman. I'm like, you want Wonder Woman? You have to take all these other 10 films too, and they're under contract for the year. Now, obviously, because of the pandemic, the movies were slated to come out earlier, so they're delayed. So every single contract went out the window because nobody was really able to fulfill their own things. And so, does that come into play? Is that going to be a factor now? Because the other contracts have to be considered somewhat void because they did not come out on time. So, who is at fault there? Can you actually blame somebody at fault? Would this actually be an act of God in those situations where there's, let's say, a victimless? Well, there's no party really to blame. So it's interesting there. The particular thing is that we signed on to an exemption. Now, there's also a gray area when it comes to new technologies, and there's a perfect example for this. Sometimes, when you make a contract, you make it in the, let's say, the older style, and you don't really consider new technologies when you're making a particular contract. And I'm going to give you a good example. Dawson's Creek. So you guys probably, if you ever saw Dawson's Creek, you probably know the famous theme song for Dawson's Creek, like doo 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 doo. Like, I don't want to wait for my life to be over. You probably know that one, right? Well, if you watch it, I think it's going to be on Netflix soon, but if you watch even the DVDs for that particular show, I'm not saying that I own the DVDs, but I'm saying that I own the DVDs. If you watch the episodes there, you'll notice that they switch out the opening song. They don't put the I don't want to wait. They put it, I think they only have it on the pilot, and I think they have it on the final episode. Why did they do this? Because when they were writing the contract, to buy the rights for this particular song, they only bought it so that it would use it when they aired on TV and stuff like, and for reruns. They didn't buy it for newer technology, so they weren't considering buying the rights for this particular song for when they did DVDs. I think maybe they only did it for VHS. I bet they weren't considering DVDs. They weren't considering Blu-rays. They weren't considering streaming services. And so the artist smartly was like, hey, I didn't give you the rights to that. If you want it, you have to buy it for me. You have to buy it from me. And thanks to you guys, that song now is very expensive. So that's kind of how that works. So if you have a contract that says specifically for one technology or for one thing, it doesn't transfer automatically to the other one. So AMC probably has a contract with Warner Brothers saying, all right, you have to release these movies with us. They have to be released. But it probably doesn't say anywhere that they can't release it in their own platform at the same time. It doesn't say that you're not allowed to shoot yourself in the foot, because technically they're not shooting themselves in the foot. Now, if Warner Brothers released all their movies on Disney Plus, then they're shooting themselves in the foot. But since they own HBO Max and they release it on HBO Max, then they're giving themselves an advantage. I don't think there's anything in their contract that says that you're not allowed to do that. So, unfortunately, and there's a term in Spanish. I'm gonna try to translate it in English, but my dad always told me this. My dad, he studied law down in Mexico, but it's like, what's not expressly forbidden in the law is tacitly permitted. I believe that's the direct translation. In Spanish is I'll say it in Spanish. Lo que no está explícitamente prohibido está tácitamente permitido. All right? Basically, if it's not specified that you can't, it means that you can. Right? That's how the law is interpreted. So, didn't specify. Right now, the beggar here is AMC, because AMC has probably gotten everything to lose. And if that's how they have their deal with Warner Brothers, I'm guessing they have the same deal with Disney, and that's why Disney's doing the same thing. And I'm pretty sure they're gonna have a similar deal with every other movie studio. So right now, they are the beggars here. So they're probably either HBO is probably either flexing to get all kinds of concessions. The problem here is that if HBO does that, well, if Warner Brothers does that, then guess what? Everybody else is going to do the same thing. So it's a no-win situation for AMC. If I have to, again, speculate, if I have to guess what's most likely to happen here, the most likely scenario is that somebody's going to be buying out AMC pretty soon, and they're going to use their own subscription services for it, or they're just going to sell it out for parts, because it's good real estate usually. And so this will actually contribute to the death of malls in America. It's the most likely scenario. So it's bad. Honestly, this just keeps getting worse and worse. This response sounds a lot like, you ever heard, have you ever seen Reservoir Dogs? And, are you going to bark, little doggy? Or are you going to bite? This sounds like a lot of barking. It's like, yeah, we're going to aggressively pursue economic terms, blah, 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 to save our business. But what can you do really? I don't think, I really doubt it that Warner Media jumped into this without knowing the consequences, or without, considering all the legal ramifications. I doubt that Disney jumped into this. Like I said, they kind of have some good lawyers, and they kind of have a lot of them. So AMC is, like I said, they got shellacked by the COVID lockdowns. They got shellacked by everything, and now their business partners are stabbing them in the back, which is perfectly legal. It's cutthroat business. This is the way business works. It's the way of the future. Old stuff tends to die out. New stuff tends to take its place. It happened to Blockbuster. I lived it. It was very sad. If it happens to movie theaters, I will be very sad. But the movie business will go on. Movies will still go on. Now, does this mean that it's going to be a better thing for consumers? Probably. Convenience actually tends to be on the side of the consumer, and competition this way tends to be on the side of the consumer. So, for example, for me, I remember Blockbuster, kind of a pain in the ass, kind of expensive. I like going there. I like going all the things, but looking back on it, it was kind of a pain in the ass. Why? Because they charged you if you forgot, if they charged you a lot if you got a little bit of delay. You had a limited amount of things you can watch. Now Netflix, whatever you want. How many times do you ever want to watch it? You can keep it technically as long as it's on their streaming system. So, I'm just speculating here, but this is, I said it yesterday. It's not the final nail in the coffin for AMC. It's not the final nail in the coffin for movie theaters, but it is another nail in the coffin. And their response, to me at least, sounds very, very weak. It's a lot of barking, but they don't have, it doesn't seem like they really have much to stand on. It's like a lot of barking and then a little bit of begging, like, please. Well, we have already commenced an immediate and urgent dialogue with the leadership of Warner on this subject. Meaning, if you have to go chasing after them, it's usually a bad sign. You're chasing ass. There's an expression, and I learned it playing football. If you are when you're a defensive player, you want to keep the other player. You want to see his face. You want to keep him front to front. That way, he's never really gone past you. If he goes past you, they're usually faster than you are. Like a running back is usually faster than a linebacker. So you're chasing ass. You never want to chase ass. You want to keep him right in front of you. And right now, seems like AMC's chasing ass. So never a good thing. It sounds like they're kind of threatening to sue, but I don't see the grounds. I just don't see it. But again, I don't have access to their contracts. This is from the vague knowledge that I have of distribution. I'll probably be talking to somebody else who's probably better versed on this than I am pretty soon. I already invited her for my Spanish podcast, and she already agreed. So we'll see what's up with that. But at the very end, they're trying to sell movie theaters, and they're kind of making an appeal to customers. So, and I'll just reread the last sentence, the second paragraph. So we already commenced the dialogue board with the subject. As the issue gets sorted out, we are nonetheless encouraged that vaccines protecting society at large against the coronavirus are very much at hand. So it is our expectation that moviegoers soon will be able once again to delight in coming to our theaters without any worry, viewing the world's best movies safely in our big seats with our big sound and our big screens. That they're trying to sell you movie theaters, all right? They're trying. You ever, like been to a car dealership and they're trying to say this is the best, good, all good news. Yeah. Usually when you're trying hard to sell something, I get it. It's more marketing people do, and this was probably a statement written by lawyers and by the marketing department. It's usually not a good sign, especially when it's something this stark, and it's like it's something really bad for you. It's a really bad thing for your business model, what Warner Brothers did, all right? It's very, very bad. So bad that you're kind of threatening to do legal, you're trying to pursue aggressively pursue economic terms to preserve your business, all right? You're clearly saying we're desperate here, all right? That's what that sentence says. Aggressively pursue economic terms to preserve our business. You're saying we're desperate here. And at the other end, you're like, but it's really cool. It's going to be safe. And you're going to come back. We're going to have big studio. And we have big sound. So we're desperate, but it's really cool. Come over here, guys. Come on, guys. Please. It's the best over here. It's desperation. And I completely understand. My heart goes out to them. It's a crappy, totally bad situation to be on, because the issues that it wasn't their fault. Well, maybe they were going to be here in a few years. Maybe, because it seemed like that's the way technology was going anyway. It seemed like movies were going to start streaming at the same time they were in movie theaters. It looked like that was the direction the media was, the industry was going. But this got put, into warp speed because of the coronavirus. And so they probably would have had time to adapt. They probably could have done other stuff. And now that opportunity has been taken from them. And it's probably going to die. Maybe the business model won't die. Maybe the theaters themselves won't die, but definitely the ownership is out of there, which could be a good thing or could be a bad thing. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, there's a lot to this, and every single time I keep finding out more and more, and there's going to be more dominoes to fall because this is a big industry that a lot of people care about, and a lot of very public people have a lot of strong opinions on. So I'm pretty sure we're going to hear more and more about this as things move forward. That's it for right now. I will keep you informed as I hear more about this stuff, because like I said, to me, this is fascinating. It's the death of an industry. It's the death of an American staple, probably. We're witnessing in real time. Can it be saved? Maybe. I don't see it likely, but we'll see. It depends on what concessions they make. We'll see. Anyway, that's it for today. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. I'm live streaming on YouTube and on Twitch at Super Dario World. If you want to see this video later, it will be up on YouTube at Super Dario World. And like I said, if you see a video tomorrow, or if you check out my podcast and there's a new episode, it'll be the return of my podcast in Spanish, Super Dario World en Español. If you don't see it, it means that my portable studio hasn't completely worked yet, and I gotta work out some kinks. So wish me luck. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.